Good afternoon, Year 12s. What I've got behind you is the thing I was trying to work on before, and I've now got it working. So what I have is a set of LEDs and a potentiometer. And what the potentiometer does is when I adjust it, if I have it set to the right value, it either turns on or turns off the appropriate LED. So in this case here, the moment it crosses the halfway line, it turns on or off the appropriate LED. Now I go over to my code, I can see here what I've got to do. So what I've got is some code that says here, set pin check to map read analog pin A1. So if I look here at my potentiometer, this green wire goes to point A1. So what it says here, set pin check. So I've created a variable called pin check. And then under the set pin check to this circle bit here, what I can do is I can then use map 0 and then put read analog pin A1. So basically what it does is, normally the potentiometer goes from 0 to 1028. Well, sorry, 1027. All right, it has 1028 different possible values. All right, and what we want to do is we want to shorten that so we don't have as many numbers to work with. So what it does is it scales down 0 to 1027 to only 0 to 256. So I've quartered everything. So what it does is it turns the value pin check into a number between 0 and 255, where 0 on my dial is all the way down here, and then 255 is all the way up the other end. And what it says is, if pin check is less than or equal to 127, it sets pin 11 high and pin 10 low. And then it says print to serial monitor this text here, and then goes to the second line. Otherwise, it prints the opposite. So, and as you can see here, as I change it, green, red, green, red. So it tells me which light is on. Now, what I can also do is I can go through here and I can add a new light to my system. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to stop the simulation. I am going to move. I'm going to start moving some things around to make some room. So I'm going to put the potentiometer over here. I'm going to reconnect the wires up here. I just need to move it out of the way a little bit, just for the sake of my own cleanliness. As I'm doing this, remember, red is generally our positive wire, black is our negative wire. All right, and then green is sending a signal to down here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the red light as well. Or rather, I'm going to add an extra light in. So if I am turning off my code and I'm playing with my blocks, I'm going to add in a third LED, and we'll call this one yellow. We put a resistor in, because we should always have resistors when we're working with LEDs. This one here is set to 1000 ohms. These other ones are set to 1,000,000 ohms. So I'm going to crank that one up so it matches, and you can tell as I increase the increase the resistance, the voltage changes. I'm now going to connect these wires here. I suppose I should just. Oh. Should probably make them all line up. It's nice when things line up. And now the only thing I need to do is connect my yellow LED to there. I'll change it to the red again. So now that I've added this new LED, I now need to reconfigure my code to allow for this new one to come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out, well, what is a third of the way through? So if it's 256, we're going to want a value of about 85. Let's say 85 for now. All right, so let's open up the code. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this from 255. So it's still, 0 to 255. Actually, no, let's change that. Let's change it again. So I'm going to change it. Saves me doing some math work later. I'm going to change it to only 239. All right, so there's 240 numbers. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to set it to 159. So if it is less than or equal to 159, it is going to do something. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert another nest inside here. So I'm going to then go in here, check my numbers. So it's going to check if the pin is less than 159. And if it's less than 159, it is going to then check again. All right. And then it's going to check to see if pin check is less than 79 or equal to 79. If it is less than or equal to 79, it is going to run that code there. Otherwise, it is going to print something different. All right, now we have decided that the yellow LED is plugged into port 9. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to add these things here just to make sure that when it turns on, it is turning the yellow off as well. All right, because we want to make sure that our presentation is nice and clean. So in this case here, set pin 9 will go to high. And we want to print to serial monitor yellow. All right, so if the value comes in at less than or equal to 159, it runs a second check, which then decides if it's going to be green or yellow. Otherwise, it should display red. So if I start my simulation, hopefully this doesn't blow up in my face. And it already has, because I can see that my red LED has gone missing. All right, so we'll just make sure that that is wired up properly. And now we start our simulation. All right, so in the middle, it says it should be on yellow. I go to the left, it's now gone to green. If I go all the way to the right, oh, there's a problem there. All right, so obviously there's something wrong with my code. I now need to go back and I now need to fix it. So stop simulation, look at my code. There we go. So I need to set pin 10 to low, and should we try again, All right, as I fiddle with it, it should turn things on and off as appropriate. All right, so that's one way of doing the code. You can probably do this code a couple other different ways. Now, the reason why this red LED is so low is because I have 1,000 kilo ohms running through it. So if I change that just back to 1,000 ohms, it should automatically start to be a little brighter. All right, so if I play with the dial a little bit. Green light on. Why is that green one not turning off? All right. And there we have our series of swipers, and what it's doing is it is correctly reading down here what is going on.